Very tired. Chalanas, is this what you gym to?
Okay. And you have to gym that fast. I'm now out of breath. Welcome back. You're watching TrendingSA on SABC3 and online we're on TrendingSA.tv. All right, so all of your Facebook posts, Insta posts, tweets, you know, we see most of them and we love all of them. So thank you very much for getting in touch with us on social media. Make sure you always use the hashtag #ZAON3. Siskuli?
Yes, we love you just like we love our guest. Our guest tonight is truly a phenomenal woman. She's a medical doctor, an activist, speaker, an advocate for gender and reproductive justice. She wants to live. To see the day when everyone has access to quality sexual and reproductive health services. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Dr. Tlaleng Mofokeng.
Now everybody knows there's exceptions to this rule. I don't be getting mad when we playing this cool, but don't you be calling me out my name. I bring back to those who disrespect me like a dame. That's why I'm talking. One day I was walking down the block, I had my feet on shorts on, right? Cause it was crazy hot. I walked past these dudes when they passed me. One of them
Nothing wrong with the
Yes.
Yeah.
The original. The
Yes.
original. Nana, you are the original. You are absolutely incredible. And I don't mind people. Let me start off with an interesting question. And the question is, Ndasekhaya, which was the first language that you learned was sign language?
It was.
Tell us about that. That's crazy. I mean, it's fantastic. I wish I had learned it. But tell us how you got to, how?
So my mom, I mean, of course, like a lot of people back then, right? You could be a teacher, nurse, doctor, and then, you know, she was a teacher.
Okay.
And she ended up specializing in Braille and teaching children, of course, who are hard in hearing and who are blind.
That's so empowering.
And so she was a working mom already in the 80s, and she used to take me to her class. And that's how I learned sign language.
Wow.
And everyone was worried around her that I wouldn't actually learn how to talk. And God forbid, here I am now. All I can do is talk. And I don't stop. So yeah, that was like my first official language that I learned.
Can you sign while we have this conversation?
I've lost it a little bit. I can still like do my name. But here's the funny thing. My son is 3 and my niece is 5. And them and my mom gossip about all of us.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Oh, new news.
Your family.
Yes.
Listen, as a young girl growing up in Kwatwa,
Yes.
did you imagine your life to be what it is now? A medical doctor, a champion for healthy sex and reproductive health, you know? Was that the dream?
You know what, I remember, I mean, of course in high school, we all get that question, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? But I kind of always knew I wanted to be a doctor, which is really weird. But my mom actually affirmed that for me because she said, even growing up, I used to rather like choose bandages and different, you know, patterns and colors and things like that, as opposed to like normal toys that kids played with. So I had like an assortment of like first aid kits and all of those things growing up. But I think I really just only realized later on, you know, in high school, when that question kept coming up, what do you want to be? And I was like, I've always wanted to be a doctor. I mean, I don't know anything else. So yeah, I think it's one of those things.
So let's take it back to when you were younger. Med school days?
Yeah.
Horrible times.
Dude,
Sleepless nights. And all that drama.
It changes you.
It does change you. But in and around that, you decide to go start something that's got to do with young people.
Yeah.
In Matatiela of all places. What was that about? And before you answer, happy belated birthday.
Yay! Yesterday was my birthday. I'm officially not more youth. I'm on the other side.
Where's the cake? Musa wants to eat your cake. Musa.
After work, okay? Jeez. But like I during family medicine, which is one of the blocks that we go through in the senior years of med school. So one of the projects, of course, you have is, you know, a rural block. You need to think of something that you can do. And at the time, Groundbreakers was a thing, right? The Love Life campaign was taking off.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, that's quite cool. So I just decided, me and my friend, who lived in Matatiele, in fact, to go to a local clinic there. We set up a youth-friendly wing in the clinic and took the nurses and the rest of the staff through what youth would want to hear. And I think at the time, because we were youth, so we looked like, you know, the patients, we sounded like the patients, and we had sort of the same inquisitiveness and the questions. So it was easy for us. And I think it was quite great because we managed to link them to the national campaign. And at that time, I mean, it was quite like, wow, we can actually do this, and we did it.
Lala, it's what you do every single day. You're always linking people. I watch you on Anduza on Twitter. And talking about watching you on Twitter, I was scrolling through your feeds and I came through and Anduza, a text, a tweet, 86. Sex work is work. What exactly do you mean? Sex work is work. I mean, I thought it was like pleasure and, you know.
Oh, there's lots of pleasure. And that's really what it is. It's people, adults, choosing to exchange sexual pleasure
Yes.
for money or any remuneration of their choosing. And I think the biggest thing is that it's adults who are consenting
Yeah.
to adult exchanges of sexual pleasure, sexual acts. And one of the biggest misconceptions about sex work is that it's only about penetration, where penis and a vagina is involved. And there's much more to it. Some sex workers never have any penetrative sex whatsoever. Some of them are counselors to their patients, well, not patients, but to their clients. You know, some people have fetishes about dancing and people dressing up in certain types of lingerie. Feet, ears, noses. I mean,
You're actually turning me on. Continue.
So, yes, babes. I'm gonna.
What
close my
happens
points.
with noses? This is weird. No judgment, no judgment, no judgment.
Just put lube. You know, wherever there's a wherever there's an orifice. You want some pleasure? Just get lube.
Sorry, but how does it fit into
Hello, you caress
and you know why? Like, honestly, it is really just work. But because it's related to sex and women, you know, taking back their power and
that's a
saying,
big
in fact,
one.
if you're gonna beep us, well, we're gonna get our coins while at it.
know what
And I
I'm
think
saying?
because it's related to sex, then people have problem. But people have no other problem with other low-paying jobs, for example, that they keep, you know, giving up as a option.
I love the way you broach all of these topics. I mean, I'm a person who considers myself quite open-minded, but still you'll shock me, take me to the next level, and then educate me all in one breath.
Yeah.
You've taken this not only to social media, but to the media as well. And you've got your own fabulous talk show.
Yeah.
Thrills.
Thrills.
So can we show everybody a clip of Dr. T in action? Let's have a look.
Zang, zang.
Welcome to the first orgasmic episode of Thrills with Dr. T. I will be giving you the best sex edutainment that will give you an upgrade in your bedroom.
I think I'm so naughty.
South African men are the best in sex.
I'd say the Nigerian guys, they do it for me.
People commodify women, but immediately when women turn that around and say, well, actually, I will decide what I'm worth, and if it's 35,000 rands to lift a leg, so
Yes, so wise.
It's Tlaleng, because really,
Uthile ngale unemployment rate mntasekhaya uthi makwenziwe.
all I'm saying is, you know what? It's not always that it's a desperate decision.
Yeah.
And I would rather work on creating enabling systems and environments in a society.
Hence
that
decriminalization is
everybody can
better,
thrive
yeah.
and not just survive, right? And even those who choose to go into sex work, punishment shouldn't be death. Punishment shouldn't be harassment at the hands of police or stigma at the hands of health workers when you're trying to get like a whole box of condoms. Because condoms for you is work, right?
Yes.
So why should be shamed for that? So that's my whole thing, is let's create systems that people, regardless of what job you want to do, you can do it and you can thrive and you can be safe.
So I'm curious to know about how on your social media you must get some very interesting DMs.
I do.
So what are some of the most like interesting, surprising, common questions that you get asked in your messages?
Always around the vagina. Is it tight enough? Is it smelling good enough? Must it taste like a mango? Like all sorts of things, you know?
You are blowing my mind today. A mango?
Yeah, like, yeah.
Oh, you knew this mango thing.
And I mean, one of the...
How do you get it to taste like a mango?
It mustn't
Well,
taste
that's the
like
thing,
a
it
mango.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's got to be eaten like a mango.
But yeah, you can eat it like a mango, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to taste or even smell like a mango.
Okay.
You know, there's flavorants and flavored loops for things like that. But your actual vagina is your vagina, right? And of course, other interesting things is, you know, I'm pregnant. I think this pregnancy is unsupportable. Please help me. Connect me to a service provider.
Really,
You know,
that they
things
have
like that.
you, sis.
Constantly. I mean, if I'm traveling, I know that by the time I land wherever I am, I'm going to have like a huge backlog of like, you know,
So how do you
people I need
manage
to
that? I mean,
connect.
you do so many things. That is another full-time job, it seems.
It is literally, and unfortunately, where there isn't any other public health information that's affirming of women's rights, of telling them where to go when they need help, people do end up on social media, and I would rather they call me and ask me all of these things.
What about people
as opposed
in
to-
like rural areas
Yeah.
that don't necessarily have access to digital media and things like that?
Yeah.
How are you getting this sort of sexual education to them?
I mean, it's a big thing, and that's why I think for me, I always avail myself, whether it's on radio, whether it's print. I mean, across all medias, because you never know who will hear you and who will get to, maybe for the first time ever, even know that something is there, right? So I always try and, get as far and wide as I can.
Phenomenal.
But I think, in South Africa, often NGOs and people who are private practitioners often have to fill the gap, that people we entrust to do these things, unfortunately, often fail. And that's why this job it needs longevity. You do need to take time out, because if you're going to do this for a long time, you need to be, well yourself.
100%.
So it's important to also link up with other people, and do it together.
Are you going to ask the question about the tour?
I want to ask.
Will you ask the question about the tour?
So here you are, a whole
But
doctor.
also don't be like in Gavelaging. I mean,
No, it was out of character. Okay, let's
I
talk.
mean,
Here you are, a whole doctor, studied 6 years, you get your degree.
yeah, 2 years internship,
In
1
2
year
years
ComServe,
internship, you
that's
do
10
1 year
years,
of
Futhi.
ComServe,
Oh,
and
wow.
then
That's a decade
of schooling and
Never mind
educating
the 10
yourself.
years of experience in the field. That's 20 years.
And then they go and call you a Twitter doctor.
And also, not even a problem, like whatever. But like, I think it's when facts are misrepresented, and then your integrity is thrown into
What
the
happened,
thing.
Doc?
So nothing actually happened. I mean, I woke up 6 o'clock in the morning, respecting time to be, on time for an interview. And it was a really disgusting and really bad interview. And, completely like off what we were told was going to happen, because it was at the back of a reproductive justice conference. So we're kind of wrapping up and, taking a look back at things and how things happened. But it ended up being, it was really bad. Go look at it on YouTube.
Yeah,
You
you've
will
got
wanna
the
see.
link there,
It
so
was
everyone can see for
bad.
themselves, yeah.
But what was more annoying, I think, for me was that, even afterwards, the producer asked, how was the interview? I said, gosh, no, that was really bad. But they hadn't watched, I think, as we're doing it live. And I said, you need to watch it and, and let me know. So when I got to the office, like about an hour later, there's like this huge thing about like Twitter doctors and monsters. I'm like,
Monsters.
who are you talking to?
You
Like,
should have maybe just given them
listen to the response, guys.
some tweet doctor. But anyway,
You said on TV.
What's the response? Oh, did we see it?
Oh, we know what the response is.
Yeah.
It's an African word.
Yes.
For go.
Downloading fecal matter.
There you go.
And downloading
Listen.
it strongly. And it was annoying only because, the whole thing was already unprofessional from the way the interview was conducted. But I really thought that if anyone, at least from their side, had to say anything, would be like, gosh, we apologize for that really poor, word.
Yeah.
And I think people are used to talking to other people online like that, and they get away with it over and over and over again until they actually think it's their birthright to really go out along downloading fecal matter everywhere. And I was like, well, you're not going to talk to me like that, firstly, but I'm doing it for everyone else that you think you can talk to like this who can't speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a boss. I don't have to explain myself why I say what I say and how I say it. And other people, unfortunately, do. And, they have to be filtered in what they say. And I mean, I was incredibly annoyed. Obviously, I think all of you could pick that up.
True.
But I think it was necessary, because often bullies do that. They do it counting on you keeping quiet. And the clip is there for everyone to watch. So,
There's so much more that we wanted to ask you, particularly about the total shutdown. But we're going to
Yeah.
follow you on social media.
Tomorrow.
Because we have completely run out of time. But tomorrow is the day, and you can download all sorts of knowledge on us tonight and make sure that we're all a
Yeah.
part of the total shutdown. Where will you be marching?
Pretoria.
Pretoria.
Tlaleng, yeah.
All right, brilliant. All the information will be up there on social media, on all sorts of people's social media pages. Dr.
Tomorrow,
Tlaleng,
join us.
you are so dope.
Love
Nice
you
to
guys.
meet you.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Dr. T, everybody! We'll be right back. This is TrendingSA right here on SABC3.